Lesson 41, finding rates of change and slope. First off, let's look at the definition of rate of change. Rate of change is just the ratio that compares the change in one quantity with the change in another quantity. And then the slope would be the rate of change. So it'd be rise over run. So the change in your y coordinates divided by your change in your x-axis or your x coordinates. And so when they're finding a rate of change, you're really finding the slope. How fast are you going, or what's the difference from one point to the next point? So it's always the rise. So how much do you go up? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many do you go across? 1, 2. So that one, you would have a slope of 3 over 2. So let's look at how do you know if your slope's going to be positive or negative. Here we can take a look at Mr. Slope Guy. Mr. Slope Guy just tells you how to determine what the slope's going to be. If the line is going up from left to right, you have a positive slope. If your line is going down from left to right, you will have a negative slope. If you have a vertical line, that means you have an undefined slope. You can't find it because the run is 0, and we cannot divide by 0. And then if we have a horizontal line, that means our slope is 0, because the numerator would be 0, your run is 0, or your rise is 0, and your run is infinite. So it's a number that keeps going on. So we would have a slope of 0. So you can always refer back to the Mr. Slope Guide to help you determine what your slope can be. So let's take a look at an example here. We're going to analyze this graph here. When was Arvind traveling the fastest? Here we're looking at the graph, and we want to find the one that's the steepest parts of the graph. And so we will want to find the rate of change. And so we have at the beginning and at the end. From here, he went from 0. And now here, that would be 7. So if we would do rise, so it went 1 mile over 7 minutes. So 1 mile over 7 minutes would be your rate for the beginning. And over here, at the end, he was at 15. So he went up half a mile, and he went across, so he went from 17 to 22. So 17 to 22 would be 5. So this is a rise of half over a run of 5. So if we want to find the slope of this one, I would have to do the reciprocal. So multiply by 1/5, multiply this by 1/5. So we would have a slope of 1/10. And 1/7 is bigger than 1/10. So this one would be fastest. So he went faster at the beginning. How long was Arvind at Corey's house? Well, we can determine where he was at Corey's house because he didn't go anywhere. So his distance stayed the same. So that was from here to here. So at the 7-minute mark to the 15-minute mark. If I subtract those two, you would get 8 minutes. And then compare the times Arvind was jogging to Corey's and when they were walking to the pizza shop. So when he was jogging to Corey's, the time, that would have been 7 minutes. And from the time that they were walking to the pizza shop, this would be from 15 minutes to 22 minutes, which is 5 minutes. Now let's take a look at determining rates of change from a graph. Here it says a car travels on a highway at a constant speed. The graph shows the relationship between the distance traveled, that's your y-axis, and the time traveled, your x-axis. Find the rate of change. So to find the rate of change, we're going to look at our change in our distance. And since our distance is our y-axis, I look at my two y coordinates. And so I'm going to take the change, so 120 minus 60, that's my change in my distance, over my change in my time, which would be 2 minus 1. You got to make sure that you use the same, like if you choose from this first point, you make sure the 120 is first and the 2 is first. If you don't, if you switch them up a little bit, then you're not going to get the correct rate of change. 120 divided by 60 is 60. 2 minus 1 is 1. So they would be going at a rate of 60 miles per hour. Next one, find the rate of change of this one. Here we have 4 points. It does not matter which points we choose. The rate of change is still going to be the same. I'm just going to choose these first two. So from here to here. The coordinates for this first point is 1 and 4. This point would be 2 and 8. If I want to find the rate of change, I would change the drum kicks, so 8 minus 4 divided by measures, which would be 2 minus 1. 8 minus 4 is 4, 2 minus 1 is 1, so this would be 4 kicks, drum kicks per measure. Next one, a shop charges a fee for renting kayaks. What is the rate of change for the rental fees? Here, from a table, this is 1 point, this is another point. Your time is your x, your cost is your y. So I want to find the rate of change for the rental fees. I would go $60.50 minus $32.50 divided by 4 hours minus the 2 hours. And so you got the 60.50 minus the $32.50 give us 28, and the 4 minus 2 is 2. 28, half of 28 would be $14. So the rate of change would be $14 per hour. Next one, find the rate of change with this one. So you want to find out how many feet per mile. So looking at here, and our miles is our x and our feet are our y. You would do 26,400 minus 15,840 divided by 5 miles minus our 3 miles. So we got 26,400 minus 15,840 gives us 10,560 divided by 2, which would give us 5,280 feet in 1 mile, which would make sense. You could have done that without this because we know that there's 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Next one, determining the slope of a graph. And here you're using rise over run, so you're changing your y over changing your x. So this is just like what we were doing before, but these are now just dealing with finding slope. So a different vocabulary word, but the same meaning. So here, I rise. From here, you can go up 1, up 2. So the rise is 2. Go across 1, 2, 3, 4. The run is 4. So we would have 2 over 4, which reduced would give us half. So our slope would be half. This next one, rise over run. I went down 1, 2, 3, 4. So down 4. I went across 1, 2. So we would have a slope of -4 divided by 2, which would give us a -2. And again, if you think about our Mr. Slope guy, our line is going down from left to right. That's why we have a negative slope. This one, it was going up from left to right, so it's a positive half. Next one, determining the slope from the graph here. So we have their 2 points. Our axes are, these are just counted by 1. So this is 1, 2, 3. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now if I do my rise, I go up 1, 2, 3. So a rise of 3 over 1. It's a positive slope because it's going up from left to right. So I have a slope of a positive 3. Next one, I go down, since they're counted by 2's, here's 2, 4, so I'm down 4, going across 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so I'm going across 10, reduce negative 4/10, this would equal a negative 2/5. So I would have a slope of negative 2/5. Next one, we got horizontal and vertical lines. The graph of the equation y equals c, where c is the constant, is a horizontal line. The slope of a horizontal line is 0. Remember with the Mr. Slope guy, horizontal, this is the mouth part of Mr. Slope guy, and we had the 2 zeros at the end, so it's got a slope of 0. There is no rise because the rise would be 0. The run is infinite. So it's infinite, so it's always going to have a slope of 0. A vertical line, it's got an infinite rise, but it's got a run of 0. It doesn't go anywhere. So this is undefined. Okay, so we would just remember with those. For this one, this first example, since I have a horizontal run or horizontal line, this would have a slope of 0. We could check it by just doing the change in my y. So 4 minus 4 divided by 6 minus 2, this would give us 0 over 4, which is still 0. Here I got a vertical line. This is undefined. Because my run is 0, I can't divide by 0. This next one, find the slope of the horizontal line that passes through the points 5, 3, and 8, 3. Here, you don't even need to refer to these because your keyword here is horizontal line. So the slope would have to be 0. And this next one, again with the points here, you can use the points, but the key part, again here, is the vertical line, which the slope would be undefined. So just make sure you read carefully the question because it's going to tell you clues and save you some time in solving. And let's look at some examples with application. The graph and table below shows the relationship between the number of servings a salsa recipe makes and the ounces of black beans used to make this recipe. What is the slope? So I'm going to choose 2 of my points here, change my y, so I'm going to do 15 minus my 10 divided by 6 minus 4. So this is going to give me 5 over 2. My slope would be 5 halves. That means 5 servings for every 2 ounces of black beans. And our last one here. The table shows the number of kicks Ileana kicks her bass drum during each measure of song. Find the slope and what does the rate of change mean in this problem? So the slope, we can use these 2 points. So it's 8 minus 4 divided by 2 minus 1. Just taking my 2 y's, subtracting them, 2 x's, subtracting them. And I get a slope of 4 over 1. So what does that mean? It means that Ileana kicks her bass has 4 drum kicks for every measure. That is our lesson today on using or finding rate of change and finding slope.